Thank you to the SANS community for having me here, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you today about my journey. To get us started, before I get into this, there are so many avenues of which you can gain a lot of information around how to get started in the field. Different things you can do, such as getting those mentors, as mentioned before, getting that hands-on experience, getting involved with organizations. So to help you, shift your mindset of how we're going to focus in on this talk, think of this as a supplement, right? Think of this as the next level up of how do we shape our mind around approaching getting into the field and navigating the field. Because one thing that I've learned from my path, but also from all of the mentees that I've had in the past, it doesn't matter if you are a recent college graduate, if you're shifting from accounting or public service or retail, you can create your own path that's unique to you by utilizing all of the resources from all of these great organizations and platforms and trainings. And think about what is unique to you to help you get from point A to your goal, which is point B. Now, to get started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and tell you a little bit about my journey, and then how I realized that there's really a script of telling your story and building your story that you can use to help build out a map. So I am the Cybersecurity Operations Lead at Auburn University, where I lead our Security Operations Center. And for those of you that aren't too familiar with security operations centers, you might see those rooms with all of the computers in it, with all of the big screens, and they're seeing all of this activity going on, and they respond to these emerging threats that are out there. Well, that's a little bit of what I do, but I help lead this program. So on the right of this screen, you see this great triad of a picture that shows you people, processes, and technology. This is what I focus on in my role. So as you know, with technologies, you're looking at your antivirus, you're looking at firewalls, you're looking at all of these tools, and I am looking at them from a detection and response viewpoint. So how do I detect the incidents, detect those threats, and how do I respond to them with those technologies? But another big part of my role is to focus on the people and processes as well. So figuring out for people, do I have the team that I need in order to successfully run a SOC? Does our team have the proper resources to build their skills and their roles? Do they feel confident in their roles? And do we work together well as a team? And I also focus in on the processes where I look at, do we have the proper playbooks of how do we respond to our incidents? So we're consistent. So everyone knows what to do and when to do it. So I spend most of my time in my day putting the three together, right? Thinking about our technology, our peoples and processes to make sure everything works together nicely. But along with that, in my role, I also have a passion for students. That's one of my favorite part of my job. I have a student SOC team where I help develop those students and help them build their career and help them learn some things that I've learned along my journey to help them expedite get to their goals. I also have a background in data loss prevention as a cybersecurity analyst. So I started my cybersecurity career as a junior analyst, really, where I focused in on data loss prevention or DLP. And as the name states, I focused on making sure that the data was where it needed to be and it wasn't leaving our organization and leading to breaches and things like that. I also have some experience in cybersecurity awareness and training. So, for those of you that love working with people, love working with figuring out how to change behavior in your organization, that is a great realm to go into. I still work very closely with our cybersecurity and awareness and training team right now. Uh, and before I did all of that, I started as an IT specialist working at a help desk. So, my very first role was an IT specialist after I graduated from undergrad, and my undergraduate degree was in information systems, so it didn't fit nicely on the cybersecurity trajectory that I am in right now. I've applied for hundreds of jobs. I went through the entire process, learned a lot of lessons along the way, But when I started as an IT specialist, I knew going into that job that I wanted to get into cybersecurity. So when I got in that job, I talked with my peers, with my mentors, and even with my leadership at the organization to get some opportunities within that role to do cyber activities. So this wasn't a piece of advice that's listed in my power moves, but I did want to say that wherever you are, find out those opportunities where you can leverage to get some of that experience that might not be in the role that you currently have. And I see that happen in all types of ways. I've seen that in the business world. Let's say you're an accountant and maybe you want to go into governance, risk, and compliance. There's opportunities for you to do and build some of those skill sets in that realm. And before I move forward, I just wanted to say where you start doesn't define where you end. So keep that in mind of where you want to see your end goal over time, but understanding where you are and build your roadmap from there. Also, outside of my main job, I'm a cybersecurity educator where I'm a part of the faculty of some institutions and I work as a mentor. But I also have a passion for community engagement. And I can say this, even before you get your first cybersecurity role, or even if you're early in your career, I highly encourage you to get involved in the cybersecurity community. It's a great community to be in, and it's something that keeps me motivated in my role. And I do everything from local initiatives to also working with organizations like the Center for Cyber Safety and Education. And I've been doing this for a while now. I've been heavily involved in the community for about 10 years of volunteering, and that's something I highly encourage all of you to do. So, one interesting fact about me before I get into some of the core components that can support you in your journey. I am a theater kid. So I grew up in a arts school throughout my elementary years, my middle school years, and I did a little in high school as well. And many people don't know that about me because I am a very technical person in a very technical role. But that's something that I really had a passion for. And one thing that I loved about theater is the art of storytelling. And one of my favorite types of stories to tell are the hero's journey. And the reason why I love the hero's journey because all of us can shape our career and our trajectory around this hero's journey in pursuing our goals of what we're trying to get to. So the hero's journey is essentially embarking on this adventure, right? We're going on this adventure for ourselves that we're trying to go through some type of obstacle to learn more and grow from that obstacle and then come back better and support our communities that we're in. There's tons of movies that fit this journey, such as Spider-Man. We have Rocky. We have all of these movies around any of the superhero movies. So I love shaping ourselves around this journey. The journey starts where you have this call to adventure and you depart for your journey where you are encountering all of these challenges and you're embracing the unknown. Then you head into this area where you have the trials, growth, and transformation, where you're encouraging yourself, but you're getting led by mentors. You are gaining a lot of new skills and insight on the way. So all of those cybersecurity skills that you're learning, all of those IT skills that you're developing. But after you achieve that main goal of whatever that is, of getting your first cybersecurity job or your next job, how can you return and impact the field that's given you so much? So I wanted to talk about my hero's journey and how you can think about formulating yours. So starting my hero's journey, I started off as someone that just had an interest in cybersecurity, but I knew nothing else about it. I just knew that I wanted to get into the field. And while in the field, I realized that, or while learning about the field, I realized that it requires a lot of effort and a lot of different moving pieces. So I just started by jumping in. I started to just learn more through videos, taking a part of training programs. I was in a boot camp at one point. I started my master's in cybersecurity. All of these different things aren't necessary, but I was just throwing myself out there, right? And that's one big piece of advice I can give. Just start. So as I was building my skills and going through and gaining certifications and applying for new roles, which is my version of my role of trials, I had the opportunity to get that first cybersecurity role as that cybersecurity analyst that I talked about on the previous slide. So for many people, their abyss in this hero's journey would be just the journey of trying to get that first job. But for me, it was when I got my first job, I was having imposter syndrome. I felt like there was so much that I did not know. I feel that I was really far behind. And sometimes I questioned, should I even be in this field? But one of my mentors really gave me a piece of advice that stuck with me. And it's that no one person in this field knows everything. It took me a minute to really understand that and how vast and how big cybersecurity is and how much it changed and how frequently it changes. But just know that there's not one person that knows everything. So that means for you, as long as you're growing, as long as you're focused, and as long as you have good intentions around what you're doing and you're going along your path, you're in the right space, you're doing the right things. Sometimes it takes a little longer to break through certain barriers to get you to where you need to get to, because there's the technical knowledge you need to get, right? But there's also the navigating the professional world that can be a little hard sometimes. So as long as you're moving in the right direction, you know that you are doing the right things. And I know that's something that helped me get through my imposter syndrome. So then after that, I was the Security Operations Center lead after I grew past a lot of that imposter syndrome, really leaning in, taking a lot of SANS courses, doing a lot of these things to build my skill set and work with others. And while I was in this position, I had the opportunity to give back to the community. So this is a little bit about my hero's journey and how I got from where I started to where I am today. And what I can say to you all as well, I have a lot of mentees that went along this journey that started completely differently than I did. I've had mentees that have started off in accounting. I have mentees that started off without their undergraduate degree. I've had mentees that have started off in fields, even in, the retail space. So it doesn't matter where you start. You can build out this hero's journey of your own and what it looks like for you in order for you to be successful in the field. So over the next few days and the next few weeks, think about what is your cybersecurity hero's journey? Where are you currently on that journey? And just know that as long as you follow this journey, you are going to get to your ultimate goal. And whatever that is, to return back to your environment to be successful in that realm. So while you're thinking about your hero's journey over the next weeks, days, even months, I am going to give you 7 power moves for your cybersecurity hero's journey. So we're going to walk through each one of these. And as I said on the first slide, this is to supplement on top of the great advice that you were already given and the advice that you're going to be given today throughout this summit or other presentations, books, resources around starting your cybersecurity career. So you're going to learn a lot about the skills you need to get, the tasks you should do, the hands-on experience, but we're going to talk about the mindset you need to have with a lot of these spaces, as well as I'm going to provide some additional resources to dig a little deeper. So we're going to start by one, we're going to do a gap analysis. We're going to figure out where we currently are and what skills we have. And we want to make sure that we revisit it frequently and make sure that we alter it to whatever direction we're moving in, whether it's getting into security operations, getting more into malware analysis, getting more into penetration testing, whatever area it is, we are going to do this gap analysis, revisit it, and update it. Based off of your results of that, we're going to build this roadmap. And roadmaps are good as a starting point and guidance, but we're going to navigate this roadmap like we're navigating it with the GPS. Then we're going to talk about the greatest piece of advice that we usually get all the time: hands-on experience is key, but not just do it. We want to make sure that we show our experience. And that's something that is often left out of the equation, especially early on. So we want to make sure that no matter where we are showing that experience, showing the things that we've done and how we are going about learning new technologies, the new things that we are contributing to the community, and just those insights that we have, even as a beginner. We're going to talk about mentorship, but how to be strategic with it. So having a mentor is great, but there's a lot more we can do on top of that to really get the most out of it. And aligned with that, we're going to talk about how to be a great mentee. So mentorship is vital, but you being a great mentee is just as important to get the most out of that experience. We're then going to talk about building systems for your journey. I am really big on building systems for ourselves and our personal journeys, whatever those goals are, and how you can build your personalized community. And I'm intentionally using the word building community than just networking, because building community is something that's going to go beyond just that transactional interactions and goes towards building a personal community for yourself in this field to have the support you need along the way. So let's get into it. First, you want to do a gap analysis and revisit that frequently. It starts with assessing your current skills. So, one, you might be thinking, what cybersecurity skills I have if I'm not even in the IT space. Well, do a lot of research, and this goes into step two, but you want to do a lot of research around those other skills that might be not as closely tied to that technical skill that might sit under a certification, such as those problem solving skills, critical thinking skills. But you want to write all these skills down. You want to see all of the skills you have, and it doesn't even have to relate to cybersecurity. Just get all of your skills down to understand where you are. And then when you do that, you want to research around where you want to go. So for me, I know that when I started my path, I thought that I wanted to get into more of the red team side. So when we're thinking red team, I'm thinking about being more of that offensive security realm. But when I started doing more research, I realized that I wanted to be more of the defender. I wanted to be on the side that I'm looking for those threats in our environment. And I only found that through research. So make sure that you're heavily researching that and be okay and know that your ideas may change of where you're trying to get to. So you have where you are and you have your current skills. You have the skills and the things that you need to do to get where you need to try to go. That in between is that gap analysis, right? And determining what are the things that you need to do to get to where you're trying to go. So if you're wondering, what are the things you need to do to fill the gaps? What are those exact skills? There are a lot of great resources to help you out. So there is the NICE, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. There's also collecting feedback from other professionals where you can ask them, hey, here's where I am. Here's my current skills. Here is where I'm trying to go. What are some of the other skills I need or the other things that I need to do in order to be successful in this space? Once you do that, uh, a perspective that I want you to have. So going along with knowing what you need to do in your gaps, there's also this concept of understanding your unfair advantages. So there's a great book called The Unfair Advantage, and pick this book up if you would like. But one of the biggest takeaways is when you understand where you currently are, think about how you can utilize your current state of where you're at to get to where you're trying to go to. So, for example, with me, I went to Auburn University undergraduate degree. And I knew that since I still lived in that city, I could be involved as an alumni. And I found opportunities within my unique area that I am, my unique unfair advantage to build those relationships that led to my role becoming a cybersecurity analyst for the university. So think creatively, right, about what organizations are you currently in? Who, you might live in a city to where they do a lot of conferences or they do a lot of meetups around cybersecurity. Think about those things that is unique to your situation that can help you navigate your space to get you to where you need to get to, because no one knows you better than you. So think about those things when you're talking to others, talking to mentors. Think about creative ways how you can pivot into where you're trying to get to. And lastly, you should document and evaluate your progress continuously. Like I said, your end goal might change, your strategy might change. So you want to make sure you're keeping good documentation. I keep a journal of my professional career and the things that I do in it, so I can see, is there anything that I need to change or is there anything that I need to move around? And some resources for Power Move number one, like I mentioned, you have the nice cybersecurity workforce framework. It's a great framework that'll give you an understanding of skills needed for certain roles. This comes from the National Institute of Science and Technology from their National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. It's a great resource that you can use. But one thing that I want to add on to that is that it can be a little tough to navigate it if you're first time using it. So the next resource below, the career pathways tool, it takes everything from the nice framework and it organizes it in an interactive way where you can click around, learn about different roles and the skills needed. Also, a similar tool for creating this pathway is the CyberSeek Career Pathway tool. So I've linked that as well. And if you're interested in learning more about your soft skills, I highly recommend taking Clifton Strengths to go through the Strengths Finder and find your strengths there. Another great resource to find some of those skills there. So as you can see here, you're probably going to see a theme. I'm going to go over a power move and how you navigate it, but I'm also going to include these resources. All of these resources are going to be provided in these slides. So don't feel that you need to take all of the separate notes and write all of these down. All of these are going to be provided to you. So my second power move is to make sure that you start with a map and navigate with the GPS. So when you are taking your gap analysis, right, and you're building out your plan, you want to figure out what is the step-by-step process that you're going to take to achieve this. So you might say that you want to get your Security Plus as a certification. You might want to participate in these capture the flags. You might want to reach out to 10 individuals a week on LinkedIn. It's best if you create this roadmap plan with milestones, right? Where you can say, this quarter or this month, I'm going to focus in on these particular items, and then I'm going to move on to the next step to the milestone. Um, and just know that it's better to do it this way because it breaks down a long list of things you need to do into a very concise method that'll help you along your journey, but also too it gives you the option to change your path. So when you have these milestones, and that's why I say written in pencil, mentally, just know that your milestones may change based off of where you plan on going and what you plan on doing. So a great example of this is with me. I decided that I wanted to get my master's in cybersecurity, and when I graduated with my master's, then I was going to go on to apply for cybersecurity roles to get into the field. I started to apply for roles while I was in my program just to see what happens. And I just happened to get a cybersecurity role. So then my milestones changed, where now that I'm getting into the role, I shifted to where I focused on, waiting until I graduated to get the role to now I want to focus in on certain technologies and building certain skills. So that path may change depending on your trajectory. And that goes into the concept of this mindset shift of navigating with the GPS. So you have this roadmap, but there's going to be obstacles that come along the way. And with those obstacles, you want to be able to pivot based off of whatever your situation is. So, for example, I can proudly say that I've taken certifications early in my career and I did not pass them. And I did not have the funds immediately to start back studying to take them again. So I had to pivot on my journey to be able to continue growing down a path until I saved enough money to take it again, or I had the opportunity and resources to get a voucher or something like that. So just know that you want to navigate this journey with the GPS and just know that it's okay for you to take a detour route to get to where you're really trying to get to. So power move number two, I would say, is uh, one that I think is probably the second most important to me. I haven't got to the most important one yet, but I would say that sticking to some type of roadmap that you could pivot with is going to be one that is core to you getting to where you need to get to. And just know that there's resources out there that can help you navigate this space in creating your roadmap. There's great resources online, such as the CyberSeek Career Roadmap. LinkedIn has a great explorer to where you can go into LinkedIn and then you can search certain roles and see more about the industry in those roles. Highly recommend doing that. You also have the Cyber Pathway Guide as well. So you can use that from CompTIA to learn about a lot more. And you have even the SANS New to Cyber Guide. So the New to Cyber Career Guide is one that you can use to help you build out this roadmap and navigate along the way. There's a lot of great books. You can probably go to Amazon to search, and there's about 10 to 20 books about starting your career. But one that I recommend is Navigating the Cybersecurity Career Path. That's a great book to pick up. And there's also virtual books such as the InfoSec Survival Guide. That's from Black Hills Information Security. So definitely check that out as well. So here's a lot of great resources that'll help you with Power Move number 2. Next, power move number 3, just do it and don't forget to show it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this do it column because these are things that are talked about frequently, like pursuing an undergraduate or graduate degree, taking a certification program, doing a boot camp, getting hands-on experiences, going to conferences. This is advice that's given all the time and it's great advice. But the key takeaway from power move number 3 is to make sure that you show your journey. I was talking to a mentor, or sorry, a mentee last week, and we had a conversation around, you know, what should you be posting? What should you be putting out there? Because they felt like because they were new in the industry, they had nothing contribute. Well, I told them that there are so many people in this world that are looking online for advice, and you never know when you experience something or do something that can help someone. And if it helps one person, then it's worth it. So let's say that you're working on a lab and you are creating the step-by-step process of documenting what you did and you post that on LinkedIn. That would be a great thing to do. Maybe you went to this conference where you learned 4 or 5 great things from that conference, or even this summit, right? You can do a LinkedIn post or a LinkedIn article about some of the key learnings that you had, but also what it means to you. For those technical projects where you might be building out scripts or you might be contributing towards another project, you can build out your personal GitHub, website, blog, all of these things that you can do throughout your journey, even at the beginning. It's really, really important because building your personal brand, especially in today where you have so many people pursuing all of these different technical fields, whether it's AI or cybersecurity, you want to make sure that you have that presence. And that's going to be something that really helps you stand out along with building these technical skills. So I provided a lot of resources that talk about the different hands-on experiences that you could just do right now, along with things like capture the flags. But just remember, show your work. That's the number one rule I would say here. Like, make sure that you show your work along the way. For power move number 4, we're going to talk about mentorship and a little bit in power move number 5 as well. But with power move number 4, you want to make sure that you're being strategic with your mentorship. So we're told to get a mentor, but I would implore you to, over time, get multiple mentors. Some of you may have heard this before, but you want to build your own personal board of directors. So individuals that you can call on for different topics and different things. You might have a mentor that's more of a coach and advisor that can help you with your technical skills for a certain domain in cybersecurity. You might have someone that's more of a role model that you look up to, that you want to follow along their path. You might need someone just as a sounding board and a supporter, someone that can encourage you and give you advice and know that everything is going to be okay on this journey. You might have certain mentors that advocate for you and sponsor for you. So they go into rooms and talk about you to say, hey, this is someone that could be an asset to my organization. So when you're having this plan around mentors, you want to make sure that you have more than one mentor. I would highly recommend that. And then you invest the time in each of these mentor-mentee relationships. And I want to make another important point here because I often get the question of how do I find a mentor? One, being involved in the community and being involved on LinkedIn, being involved in different groups, going to conferences, going to these spaces, being present. That's how you meet people, but also have those conversations around how do you build those informal mentorship opportunities. So that's how you can build that informal mentorship opportunity. And just know that that journey might not be as quick as the first interaction asking them to be a mentor. I highly recommend you to try to build the relationship first and then ask them questions about their career, maybe have an informational interview. And then from there, you have the opportunity to ask them, hey, can you be my mentor? That's how informal mentorships are created. But there's also formal mentorships. Many people overlook this one, but this is a really important one. If you need a mentor right now, there are organizations and programs to where you can sign up to get a mentor. So if you are early in your journey and you've already done the first few power moves where you've done your gap analysis, you have your plan, you've organized your thoughts and where you're trying to go, and you know your intentions around mentorship, then I would highly recommend you looking into a formal mentorship program. And then for power move number 5, let's say after you've done all of this and congratulations, you have your new mentors, you want to make sure that you're being a great mentee. So being a great mentee means that you are prepared for your mentor sessions, especially the first one. You're bringing your roadmap and gap analysis to the table, and you're setting your intentions with your mentor. So on the last slide I mentioned, you have different mentors for different purposes. Make sure your mentor and yourself, you have an understanding of what that mentorship is and how that mentor can help you. So that way, every time you have an interaction with this mentor, it is a valuable experience. So you want to make sure that you're showing interest in your mentor's journey as well. Like I said, this is a relationship, and mentorship is a long-term game. So you can be asking them questions and getting advice that helps you in the immediate, but also you just want to know that the mentor-mentee relationship is a professional relationship where there's mentors that I've had that helped me 10 years later because of the relationship that we built early. So it's a long-term thing. You have the option to change your mentors as well. So build those relationships, know that it's a long-term process, and you want to be in this for the long game. So some resources to help you out, and this is primarily focused in on those formal mentor-mentee programs. The National Cybersecurity Alliance, they have a mentorship program that you can look into to sign up for. Women in Cybersecurity has a really big one as well, so they're a great one to look into. And Cyversity, this is another organization that has a mentorship program. So here's some resources to some formal programs that you can lean into. And I wanted to mention as well that if you're in school or if you are a part of other cybersecurity programs that are local to you, see if they have a formal mentorship program. It might not be cybersecurity, but there might be a mentorship program in general, and you might be able to find a match there. So these are some examples as well. There's many other organizations that have these formal mentorship programs, but when finding a mentor, you can take the informal route where you are in the industry and you're finding those mentors, but also you can have these formal programs that you sign up for to go through to have a good mentor there. So as we get to the last two power moves, this one, power move number 6, this is probably my most important one. This is out of all of the power moves, this is the most important one to me. And it all boils down to this quote that you see on your right. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The cybersecurity community is amazing, and there's so many supportive people there. So make sure that you're not doing this journey alone. I did the journey alone for the first year and a half into the space outside of my 1 to 2 mentors, and that was probably the biggest mistake that I made. So you want to make sure that you're involving yourself in organizations, conferences, meetups, and if you're not sure where to start, ask the pros. So ask other cybersecurity professionals, what are they involved in? What are some ways you can get involved? What things do you recommend that you go to? So you can do these for in-person events, in-person organizations, locally, regionally, nationally, but also online communities, whether they're on Discord, LinkedIn, or Slack communities as well. And go beyond cybersecurity. So you want to make sure that you're focused in on the cybersecurity realm, but there's different information technology organizations or technology-based organizations where you can get a lot of value as well. Cybersecurity professionals aren't only in cybersecurity organizations, they're also in other technology-based organizations as well. So add those as possibilities for ones you can join. And here on the slide, as you can see, I listed a lot of different opportunities. But just know that there's a lot that you can go through and be involved with. And there's different niches you can be involved with as well. So if you want to go into governance, risk, and compliance, you have organizations such as Asaka. If you want to go into more of a general based information systems security organization, you have ISSA. And then you have tons of conferences that you probably heard of before. But one in particular that I wanted to point out that's near and dear to me is B-Sides, because B-Sides has a lot of local conferences that are either low price or free. So see if there's a B-Sides in your area and see if there's one that's close by you that you can attend. So there's tons of opportunities, but the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you are building your community. You're going beyond networking, you're building a personalized community for yourself. And to wrap up for today, I wanted to mention that uh, you want to have your plan, you want to navigate your plan, but in order for this to be sustainable, you're going to have to create systems. So systems are built by you figuring out what are the activities that you're going to do every day, every week, every month. When are you going to do those activities, and where you're going to be when you're doing them, what time of day you're going to do them. Because for me, if I'm studying for a certification, I have to do that at a certain time of the day versus me working and doing something more technical like writing a script or working through this technical issue that I'm having with a particular tool. You want to come up with systems that work for you, because once again, it could get very overwhelming with all of the different things you have to do. I have a study schedule that I use, that I lean into. I also have a schedule that I use to help me figure out when I'm going to talk to people on LinkedIn, when I'm going to be involved in my organizations. So if you come up with these routines and these habits to get to your goals, that's going to help you along the way. So let's take an example of pursuing the Security Plus certification. You know that's a goal. Your milestones is to learn each domain over, let's say, every 2 weeks you learn a new domain. For each of those milestones, that's where you build your systems. So I want to study for an hour a day on this particular domain, doing these particular activities. I'll spend 15 minutes of the time doing practice questions. So you want to think about a system that you can build on a consistent basis, because consistency is more important than your intensity. That's another mistake that I made early on, is trying to brute force my way and spend countless hours in like a weekend to try to cram everything in. That's not sustainable because this is a journey, but that's just something that you need to think about. And one important concept, if you're unfamiliar with it, is Kaizen. So this is a Japanese philosophy that is focused in on continuous improvement. You want to make sure that you're reevaluating your systems, your habits, and making sure, do I need to change them? So, hey, I've been doing this habit of studying for 2 weeks. Is it productive? If not, what can I change on it? So you want to have this continuous improvement. I put a link here if you want to learn more about Kaizen, because I focused in on that a lot with my growth opportunities. But it's just another resource there. And I wanted to give just a few pieces of advice or tools that you can use for building out your systems. I have about 3 different to-do list apps, goals apps, and different things that I use to help me focus in. But two of my favorite ones that I use are Todoist and Notion, because those really help me set up a good, clear plan for myself. But there's endless amounts of task management apps and project planning apps that you can use. My advice is for these, there's no one size fits all. There's some that work for others. Uh, All of the mentees that I have, they use different ones because their brains work differently. So you want to figure out one that works for you. And a pro tip is watch some YouTube channels on how you can optimize these. I've recommended two books here, Atomic Habits and The Power of Habit, if you want to learn more about how creating these habits and these systems can help you reach your internal goals. And here's some productivity leaders that I follow that I recommend as well. So to recap, these are your 7 power moves that can help you on your hero's journey. Hopefully, you can spend some time thinking about your hero's journey and where you are. And you can use some of these tips and all of these resources that are provided for you. And hopefully, there's one or two nuggets that you can use in the upcoming week. So I love talking to individuals about this, but just know that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. This is a very popular quote, but I got to come back to it sometimes. Just to know that the journey can feel like it's a lot, but sometimes you just got to take that first step into your hero's journey. So thank you all for taking some time to sit through my presentation to learn a little bit about creating your own hero's journey and some of the power moves you can make no matter where you are in your career. Here's my LinkedIn that if you want to connect with me to follow up with anything as well, I'll be in the community and to follow up with some of y'all on that. But definitely let me know what your thoughts are if there's anything I could do to support. So thank you all for coming to my talk today.